Good morning, everyone. So, for today, I am going to discuss the Unit 2 for this subject. So, our Unit 2 is all about consumer buying decision process. So, after this chapter, we are expected for the following learning outcomes. So, you will be able to describe the decision-making process, and you will also understand how to influence different stages of the consumer decision-making process. As an overview, it is believed that understanding human needs is critical for effective marketing. So just like what I have mentioned on our first unit, napaka-importante na kilala natin kung sino yung ating consumers, kung sino yung ating customers. So alam natin dapat kung ano yung behavior nila, yung existing behavior, and ano yung possible changes sa kanilang behavior, as well as to their needs and wants. Kasi itong factor na to ay makakatulong for marketers for their effective marketing. So since businesses rely or depend heavily dependent on their sales, they need to create sales. So how are they going to create sales? So through effective marketing of their goods and services, they can encourage customers, they can encourage consumers. Thus, it will increase their sales. However, the problem is these needs are not always easily detectable. So, in determining the behavior, the needs and wants of our consumers and our customers, there are times na mahirap siyang i-detect. There are times na hindi siya predictable. Okay? So, also, our consumers, some of them are not aware of their own underlying motivations or of the forces that determine their own behavior. So, yung consumers and customers mismo natin, sometimes, hindi nila alam kung ano yung nag-uudyok sa kanila para bumili. So, sometimes, hindi rin sila aware sa kanilang behavior. There are consumers and customers na they buy based on impulse, they buy based on their wants na akala nila ay needs nila, and vice versa. So, the tendency is that there are so many factors na pwedeng maka-apekto sa behavior ng isang consumer. So, yun yung aalamin natin on our succeeding chapters or units. So, when it comes to marketing, there is one aspect every business should be aware of. So, ito ay dapat alam ng every marketers and aware dapat ang business with regards to this. It is that not all consumers are created equal. So, ibig sabihin lang nun, lahat ng consumers natin merong pagkakaiba-iba. Though merong pagkakamukha-mukha, pero basically, merong pagkakaiba-iba. So, sa iba't ibang aspeto, pwedeng magkaiba-iba ang consumers. So, maaaring magkaiba sila in terms of the tastes, in terms of preferences, in terms of the motivation, ano ba yung nagmo-motivate sa kanila para bumili. Depende sa situations, depende sa kanilang income, depende if it is their needs or their wants. So, iba-iba ang pwedeng maka-apekto or yung factors or forces na pwedeng maka-apekto para makapag-decide ang isang consumer whether he or she is going to buy or what he or she is going to buy. So basically, not all consumers are created equal or hindi natin pwedeng i-apply yung sinasabi nating one size fits all. No? Kasi magkakaiba nga ang ating consumers. So just like there are different types of goods, services, and products, meron ding iba't ibang type ng consumers. So tayo nga lang mga tao, nagkakaiba-iba tayo sa pag-uugali. So ganun din as consumers, meron din tayong pagkakaiba-iba. So they have different motivations for purchasing, different modes of engaging, and different mindsets. So for marketers or for businesses, to market their brand successfully, they need to understand the different type of consumers na meron sila and how to adopt effective marketing strategy for them. So for their existing customers or end consumers, dapat kilala nila yung kanilang mga existing consumers. And for the prospective naman or yung ia-attract pa nila na consumers and customers, dapat din nilang kilalanin kung sino-sino yung mga yon. Ano yung profile, ano yung motivators, common motivators or factors na nakakaapekto dun sa mga consumers na yon. So para mas makapag-develop and makapag-plan sila ng effective marketing strategy for those types of consumers. So kung magkakaiba ang ating mga consumers, ito yung ilan sa mga classifications ng consumers. So first, we have the loyal consumers. So ito yung kadalasang tinatawag nating suki, no? So the most loyal ones. So loyal consumers are likely to comprise a small segment of your consumer base. So these consumers usually ay small portion lang ng iyong total number of consumers and customers. However, because of their loyalty, they are valuable to every business. So kahit na ganon kaliit lang yung portion nila sa total number of consumers and customers mo, still they are very valuable to your business. No? Once they have found the right company to do business with, they will remain loyal, often becoming a promoter of the brand by sharing their experience with their friends, family, and extended social network. So, ang kagandahan naman sa ating mga loyal consumers, once na nakahanap na sila ng tamang business that they can do business with, they will remain loyal. And usually, sila pa yung nagiging promoter natin. Sila yung nagiging word of mouth na nagmamarket pa ng ating products to other people. Like for their friends, nire-refer nila tayo sa friends nila, sa family members, and to other networks na meron sila. So how can a brand successfully market to a loyal consumer? So basically, ang susi lang para ma-retain natin yung ating mga loyal consumers and mas magkaroon pa tayo ng mas maraming loyal consumers is through personalization. So, mas gusto ng consumers yung services ay binibigay sa kanila personalized. So, mas na-appreciate nila. Okay? So, individualized attention and repeated marketing contact. So, they can feel that they are very important to your business, no? Kapag ginagawa natin yung mga ganung klaseng marketing strategies. So, ang susi is to personalize the services and the products na ino-offer natin sa kanila. We might pay attention to them individually and magkaroon tayo ng repeated marketing contact. No? So, paulit-ulit natin silang bigyan ng promotions, ng mga incentives, no? Ng mga pwede nilang ma-avail na promos. So, these kinds of marketing strategies will yield the biggest return on investments. So, once naman na nag-invest tayo dito sa mga loyal consumers, napakalaki ng impact o ng return na pwedeng ibigay sa atin, no, in marketing our goods and services. Another, we have the discount consumers. So, from the term itself, discount. So, typically, these are the consumers who are always on the hunt for discounts. So, sila yung mga consumers natin na bumibili kapag may sale and discounts. So like loyal consumers, they also have a tendency to frequently patronize the same organizations and brands. So most likely, yung mga discount consumers ay nagiging loyal consumers na rin. Kasi sila yung type ng consumers na talagang nag-aabang ng mga sales, ng mga discounts, ng mga promos. So nagiging loyal consumers na rin sila in that case. No? So, mas pinapatronize na nila yung organization or yung business na yon or yung brand na yon na kadalasan ay nagsisale or nagdi-discount. So, sometimes sila yung alam nila yung schedule, alam nila yung season, alam nila yung months na kadalasan nagsisale or nagkakaroon ng promo or discounts yung mga specified businesses. So, they're always on the hunt. However, they only make purchases when there is some kind of sale or discounts. So yun nga lang, hindi sila yung pwedeng maging regular source ng sales mo kasi hindi naman sila bumibili on a regular basis. Sila lang yung mga consumers na bumibili kapag ka merong sale and discounts. So, paano ba mag-market sa mga discount consumers? So, the company need to advertise their offers and specials. So, kailangan lang ng intensive advertising kung ano yung promos, kung ano yung in-offer natin, ano yung sale natin for the specific period. So, napakalaking tulong sa panahon natin ngayon yung social media since social media is now the greatest way to share sales and ongoing promotion. So most of the information ay nanggagaling na ngayon sa social media. So napaka-effective way in marketing our products and our offers through social media. As well as yung mga personalized emails. Ayan, kung meron po kayong mga natatanggap na emails na nag-advertise, ayan, paulit-ulit yan, hindi sila napapagod na mag-advertise, no? So, yun naman, kumbaga, ay parang naka-automated na siya. So, one way din yun ng kanilang advertisement, yung mangungulit sila ng pag-o-offer sa'yo on emails, on brochures, no, etc. Next, we have another classification of consumers, impulsive consumers. So impulsive consumers are those consumers usually buy based on their impulse. Pag sinabi nating based on impulse, ito yung typical na nangyayari sa atin kung saan bigla tayong mapapabili, biglang gusto nating bumili, no? Out of nowhere, gusto nating bilhin, di ba? For example na lang, yung nagbabrowse ka kay Shopee, tsaka kay Lazada, may nakita kang magandang item doon, gusto-gusto mo siyang bilhin, no? So that is called impulse. So you want to buy it out of impulse, no? Another example, yung pagka nasa mall ka, nakita mo yung isang bagay, out of nowhere, gusto mong bilhin, no? Yung halimbawa, nagustuhan mo yung kulay, biglang naisipan mong gusto mong kumain ng ganito, gusto mong bumili ng ganito. So out of impulse, you want to buy it, no? Without thinking it further kung kailangan mo ba talaga siya, may pambili ka ba, etc. So, impulsive consumers are the most difficult when it comes to maximizing marketing strategies. So, ito nga lang yung mahirap kontrolin na type ng consumer kasi ito yung hindi natin alam kung bibili ba siya sa'yo or hindi. So, ang hirap i-maximize ng marketing strategy na gagamitin natin sa kanya kasi nga, out of nowhere eh. No? Maaaring may time na gusto niyang bumili, may time na ayaw niyang bumili. So, walang nagiging loyalty. No? So, hindi siya nagkakaroon ng loyalty on a specific brand or on a specific item or product. So, these consumers often do not shop with a specific product or service in mind. Rather, they may purchase unpredictably, buying when something strikes their fancy. So, biglaan, no? Yun nga, out of nowhere or naisipan lang na bumili. So, considering the unusual nature of impulsive consumer purchasing habits, vast majority of purchases are actually impulse purchases. So, ang basic example is kayo. So, halimbawa na lang, pagka kayo ay nasa isang tindahan or kayo ay nasa labas, halimbawa nakita nyo yung tindahan ng milk tea, no? Bigla nyong naisipang bumili ng milk tea or biglang gusto nyong uminom ng milk tea. Okay? O kaya meron kayo nakita na umiinom ng milk tea, nainggit kayo, natakam kayo. So, out of impulse, you want to buy it also. And pagdating naman sa mga groceries sa mall, di ba, kapag ka merong nagandahan yung mata mo, or may naamoy na mukhang masarap kainin sa mall, so suddenly, you want to buy it also. So, vast majority kadalasan ng mga binibili natin ay nanggagaling out of impulse. So, kung i-evaluate nyo yung mga binili nyo, no, i-analyze nyo, binili nyo yung isang bagay out of gusto nyo lang. So, kung titingnan nyo halimbawa yung mga damit nyo na nasa closet nyo or nasa cabinet nyo, karamihan siguro doon ay binili nyo kasi gusto nyo, no? Hindi yung dahil sa talagang kailangan mo siya. So may mga damit tayo na binili natin before na ngayon nare-realize natin na hindi ka naman pala ito nasusuot. Saan ko ba ito pwedeng gamitin? Wala naman akong paggagamitan, pero binili mo siya. Okay? So, karamihan talaga ng mga binibili natin ay nanggagaling actually based on impulse purchases. So, we can classify ourselves also to impulsive consumers. So, given that impulsive consumers are unpredictable when it comes to their purchases, we need to develop an effective marketing plan or marketing program to these types of consumers. Because kapag na-attract na natin sila, nahuli na natin yung kiliti nila, alam na natin kung ano yung nagda-drive sa kanila to purchase, we can easily drive up our sales also. So just keep in mind that impulse buying tends to be emotionally driven as opposed to logically driven. So ang mga impulsive consumers usually ay nagde-decide sila out of their emotions or based on their emotions, not based on thinking, no? So kadalasan sila yung out of nowhere na lang talaga bibili sila, yung hindi na nila talaga pinag-iisipan mabuti. So, iba din siya dun sa discount consumers tsaka kay loyal consumers kasi yung discount consumers and loyal consumers, there is something that drive them to buy. So, for example, sa discount consumers, ang nagda-drive sa kanila na bumili is para makasave sila. Kaya naghahanap sila ng mga naka-discounts or naka-sales. Yung loyal consumers naman nila, driven sila dun sa loyalty nila dun sa specific brand. Kasi talagang tiwala na sila dun sa brand and subok na nila yung product or yung service na kanilang binibili. So the key is to tap into the impulsive consumers' emotions. So since impulsive consumers are usually emotionally driven, we need to tap to the impulsive consumers' emotions. So yun ang susi. Kailangan natin hulihin or hanapin, no, yung kadalasang emotions na napapabili yung ating mga consumers. So usually, halimbawa na nga lang, again, yung pagka Christmas season, no, and then tsaka yung ngayon, Valentine season. So this Valentine season, kadalasan, marami ang bumibili ng chocolates, ng teddy bears, ng flowers, or any gifts because they want to give to their loved ones. No? So, gumagana yung emotional factor. No? So, they buy based on impulse and based on their emotions. The last classification of consumers are what we call the need-based consumers. So from the term itself, these are consumers which purchase based on their needs. So they want to fulfill their needs or a need, so they purchase this type of service or product. So example, maybe they have run into financial trouble and need advice. Perhaps they want to go on vacation and need a new set of luggage. Or they could be approaching a milestone in their life and are seeking legal advice. So one perfect example for this is insurance. Okay? So insurance is a type of product na ino-offer sa isang individual or sa isang consumer because basically insurance offers something na pangangailangan ng tao in the future. Okay? So if these consumers want to secure their life, want to secure their health, want to secure their family members in the future, because hindi naman tayo sigurado sa ating buhay, hindi tayo sigurado sa kung ano yung pwedeng mangyari in the future. So, this consumer want to buy an insurance. So, out of need or based on his or her need, gusto niyang i-secure or gusto niyang protektahan yung kanyang family, gusto niyang bigyan ng financial security yung kanyang family. So, ang gagawin niya, gusto niyang bumili ng insurance based dun sa pangangailangan niya, hahanap siya ng nag-o-offer ng insurance or sabihin natin financial advisor. Okay? So, marami tayong mga binibili or pinipurchase na goods and services na base sa needs natin or we want to fulfill a need. Okay? So, in order to market to a need-based consumer, your marketing strategy needs to anticipate these needs effectively. So, this type of consumers when it comes to our marketing strategy, dapat kaya nating i-anticipate yung possible needs ng tao. Then, from that, dun tayo magbe-base ng ating i-offer na goods and services. So, another example na lang din yung mga pre-need plans na tinatawag o kaya yung nag-offer halimbawa sa St. Peter. Diba? So, hindi naman sa pinapanalangin na tayo ay matetegi, pero preparing for the future, na-anticipate na yon ni St. Peter, na-anticipate na yon ng mga nag-offer ng mga pre-need plans na these are needs of the people, these are needs of consumers na talagang kakailanganin ng bawat tao pagdating ng panahon. No? So, we need to anticipate these needs. So, dapat magaling doon ang marketers. Kailangan, kaya niyang i-predict or ma-anticipate niya kung ano yung future na pangangailangan ng tao. So, you need to segment your consumers by needs and adopt a marketing strategy to each of those needs. So, the first thing you need to do is kailangan mong i-segment or i-classify yung consumers mo based on their needs. Okay? So, kung ang gusto mo lang i-tap as a business ay yung mga need-based consumers, kailangan mong i-segment yung iyong mga consumers based on their needs. Then, from that, pag na-identify mo na yung needs nila, tsaka kang magpo-formulate, magde-develop ng products or services, and formulate and adopt a marketing strategy na mag-fit or suitable para dun sa segment ng consumers mo. Okay? Outlining how you can help in a particular situation or promoting a specific service. So, para maging effective din yung iyong marketing strategy para sa mga need-based consumers, kailangan mong i-emphasize ano yung importance and ano yung relevance ng ino-offer mong goods, products, or services doon sa pangangailangan na gusto niyang i-fulfill. Okay? So, halimbawa, balikan natin example ko. A person wants to secure his or her family. Gusto niyang protektahan yung kanyang family, bigyan ng financial security in case na siya ay mawawala. No? So, out of that need, you need to emphasize na itong binibenta mong insurance ay kaya niyang i-fulfill yung gustong mangyari nung insured or nung bibili ng insurance. So, kailangan nating i-emphasize kung ano yung pinopromote natin, ano yung kagandahan ng ino-offer natin. So, those are the types of consumers that we may cater. So, out of those 4 types of consumers, we need to identify kung sino doon yung itatap natin. No? Pwedeng isa, pwedeng dalawa, pwedeng yung 4 na yon. No? But basically, to become effective ang ating marketing strategy, the first thing you need to do is to know who your consumers are, who your target market are. Okay? Kasi hindi mo naman lahat pwedeng i-cater yun eh. Kung meron ka lang isang klase ng produkto, alamin mo lang kung sino doon yung ita-target mo. Okay? Or paano mo i-modify yung product mo para mag-fit siya or ma-offer mo siya doon sa lahat ng klase ng consumers or classification ng consumers na nabanggit ko. Okay? So, yun ang susi, to have a better marketing program for our consumers. So, after we identify the different types of consumers, punta na tayo doon sa pinaka-core ng ating unit for today, which is the consumer decision process. So, what is a consumer decision process? So, consumer decision process is a model and a method used by marketers to identify and to trace the decision-making process of a customer from the start to the end. So, dito natin makikita yung process na pinanggagalingan ng isang consumer in deciding whether he or she is going to buy or what item to buy. So, from here, kaya nating i-identify or i-determine ano-ano yung mga factors na pwede ding maka-apekto sa pag-decide ng isang consumer. So the typical consumer decision process have 5 stages. So as you can see here in the image, the first step is the recognition of the need. So a consumer recognizes na meron siyang pangailangan or meron siyang wants. Then, pag na-identify na niya kung ano yung needs or wants niya, maghahanap na siya ng information regarding dun sa needs niya. So, let's say, for example, kailangan niya ng new pair of shoes for his or her job. So, maghahanap siya ng sari-saring source of information. So, saan siya pwedeng maghanap, saan siya pwedeng tumingin, saan siya pwedeng mag-canvas, para makapili siya at makahanap siya mabuti nung kakailanganin niyang shoes. So, information search. Pangatlo, evaluation of alternatives. So, dun sa mga options, dun sa napagtinginan niya, or based dun sa canvas, pagka-canvas niya, i-evaluate niya ngayon yung kanyang mga options. Okay? So, pwede niyang i-evaluate yon based on the quality, based on the brand, based on the color, based on the price, based on the income na meron siya, kung capable ba siyang bilhin yung specific brand, etc. So, dyan napapasok yung iba't ibang factors na pwedeng maka-apekto sa pag-decide ng isang consumer kung anong klase ng produkto yung kanyang bibilhin. Then, after evaluation of alternatives, then kailangan na niyang mag-decide if he or she is going to purchase or what to purchase. So, the purchase decision. Then, after niyang ma-purchase yung item or yung service, mag-undergo na ngayon ng post-purchase evaluation. So, di ba, after natin gamitin yung isang produkto or after nating ma-receive yung service na binili natin, we tend to evaluate yung ating satisfaction. Na-satisfy ba tayo out of using this product or these goods? Or na-satisfy ba tayo dun sa nirender na service sa atin? So, titingnan natin kung na-meet yung ating expectations at kung okay ba yung napili natin. Okay ba yung naging decision natin na binili natin yung goods and binili natin yung services na yon. So, typically, ito yung ating process when it comes to decision making, no? And when it comes to buying decisions. So, lahat tayo as consumers, napagdadaanan itong step-by-step na to. No? But there are instances nga lang na, yun nga, based on impulse, kung bibili tayo based on impulse, sometimes hindi na siya dumadaan ng evaluation, hindi na tayo naghahanap ng sources of information. We tend to buy that kind of item na immediately kasi based on impulse. So let's look at the detail of each stage of the consumer buying process. So the first stage, again, is the need recognition. So it occurs when consumer exactly determines their needs. So either their needs or their wants. So consumers may feel like they are missing out something and needs to address this issue so as to fill in the gap. So, doon nag-a-arise usually yung urge na gusto niyang bumili. So, based on his or her needs and wants. Okay? So, halimbawa, naubusan siya ng deodorant. Okay? So, kailangan niyan sa araw-araw. So, naubusan siya ng deodorant. Na-identify niya na, kailangan ko nang bumili ng deodorant kasi wala akong gagamitin para bukas. So, yun yung need niya. Na-identify niya yung need niya. So, kailangan niyang bumili, kailangan niyang i-address yung problem na yon or yung issue na yon to fill the gap. So, when businesses are able to determine when their target market starts developing these needs or wants, they can avail the ideal opportunity to advertise their brands. So, that is the role of the marketers or the marketing. No? Kailangan alam nilang i-determine, unang-una, syempre, kung sino yung target market nila. Kaya din dapat nilang i-determine kung kailan bumibili or kung kailan balak bumili or kung kailan usually bumibili yung kanilang target market. No? So, yung mga businesses na yan, they have sources of information na kaya nilang i-identify kung gaano kadalas bumibili yung isang consumer. Gaano kadalas siya uulit na bibili. Gaano kadalas or gaano kabilis niya maubos yung binili niya, and then kaya nilang i-predict kung kailan ka ulit bibili. So, ganun kagaling yung mga marketers or yung aspect ng marketing, no, when it comes to predicting or determining those factors. Okay? So, to become effective, yung ating yung ating marketing program or yung ating marketing plan, they need to know those kinds of information so that they can avail the ideal opportunity to advertise their brand. So, para mas ma-maximize nila yung kanilang pag-advertise, yung kanilang gagawing promotions, kailangan nilang malaman yung mga information na yon. So, the first thing nga na kailangan nilang gawin is alamin kung sino yung target market nila and alamin nila kung kailan ba nagde-develop or nare-realize ng isang consumer kung meron siyang need or meron siyang want na gusto niyang i-fulfill. Next stage is the information search. So, gaya nga nang nabanggit ko kanina, here on this stage, na usually naman din ay ginagawa natin, nagka-canvas tayo. No? So, naghahanap tayo ng different sources of information para mas makapili talaga tayo. Then we tend to compare. So, this stage tends to change continually as consumers require obtaining more and more information about products which can satisfy their needs. So, marami na tayong iba't ibang way para makapag-canvas tayo or makapag-source out tayo ng information. Diba? So, ngayon, ang ginagamit natin ay yung mga reviews na pwede nating i-search in Google or in different types of platforms or social media. Okay? So, information can also be obtained through recommendations from people having previous experiences with products. Ayan. So, dun sa mga loyal consumers, kapag ka nire-refer ng mga loyal consumers yung isang specific brand or product, so, through recommendations from those kinds of consumers or people, so, reliable source din yun ng information. So, kadalasan, yung mga new customers and new consumers natin ay nanggagaling out of recommendations, no, from different people. So, when it comes to information search, at this level, consumers tend to consider risk management and prepare a list of the features of a particular brand. So, ito ay kadalasan nangyayari kapag ang bibilhin mo ay talagang mahal, no, expensive, or talagang kailangang pag-isipan. So, karaniwan, ito yung mga big purchases. So, halimbawa ay appliances sa bahay, car, house, or gadgets. So, you need to consider the risks attached. So, kailangan mo talagang pag-isipan ng mabuti, kailangan mo maghanda ng listahan ng mga features na gusto mo for a particular brand. So, when it comes to phone, for example, you need to list your options when it comes to brand, when it comes to price, ano yung capable amount, then yung mga features na gusto mo, etc. So, this is done because most people do not want to regret their buying decision. So, yun nga, pagka big purchases, kailangan nating mag-undergo to information search at maghanap ng maraming sources because we don't want to regret dun sa decision natin, no, na bibilhin natin. So, we can source out information about products and services through the following sources. So, first, commercial sources. So, through advertisements, no, sa TV, sa radyo, sa internet, social media, etc. Promotional campaigns, salespeople, or packaging of a particular product. Through personal sources. So, the needs are discussed with family and friends who provided product recommendations. So, ito yung maaaring kaibigan mo na nag-refer sa'yo or nag-recommend sa'yo ng product kasi na-experience na nilang gamitin yung certain goods or product. Then, public sources. Ayan, radio, newspaper, magazines. Then, experiential sources. The own experience of a customer of using a particular brand. So, once na-try mo na ng isang beses yung product and nasatisfy ka or kung lumagpas pa or nag-exceed pa yung satisfaction mo, dun sa product na yon, ang tendency is bibili at bibili ka ulit. No? So, yung own experience, yan yung pinaka-reliable source, no, na pwede mong pagbasihan kapag ka ikaw ay magdedesisyon kung ano yung bibilhin mo. Okay? So, these types of sources ay pwede nating i-tap when it comes to deciding or listing of what we need to consider when we are going to buy big purchases or even small purchases. Next, third stage. So we need to evaluate our alternatives or our options. So we have different alternatives that are available in the market along with the product life cycle. So once it has been determined by the customer what can satisfy their need, they will start seeking out the best option available. So if you filter out na nila yan, so kung naglista ka, nilagay mo lahat ng mga gusto mong i-consider bago ka mag-decide, magiging maganda yung result, no, ng iyong decision kasi mafi-filter out mo siya ng maigi. Okay? But it does not necessarily mean or it does not guarantee na okay yung resulta, no, or okay yung binili mo. So this evaluation can be based upon different factors like quality, price, or any other factor na importante for customers. So usually, ang kina-compare natin yung quality tsaka yung prices. So yun nga, sabi ko nga, through reviews, kaya nating i-identify or mas nagiging reliable yung isang product. So the next stage or the fourth stage is the purchase decision. So here, dito ka na yung actual talaga na magde-decide kung ano yung bibilin mo. Okay? So at this stage, the consumer has evaluated all facts and has arrived at a logical conclusion which is either based upon the influence from marketing campaigns or upon emotional connections or personal experiences or pwedeng a combination of those. Then we have the fifth stage, the last stage, which is the post-purchase behavior. So the purchase of the product is followed usually by post-purchase evaluation. So here, so ang nangyayari nga is we review, we checked, and we evaluate if na-satisfy ba tayo out of using that product or out of receiving the service na ating pinili. So it refers to analyzing as to whether the product was useful for the consumer or not. So naging useful ba siya for the consumer? Na-meet ba niya yung needs or wants? Na satisfy ba siya based on his or her expectations? So if the product has matched the expectations of the customer, they will serve as a brand ambassador who can influence other potential consumers, which will increase the customer base of that particular brand. So, once na ang isang consumer ay nasatisfy siya dun sa product or service na na-consume niya, the tendency is that pwedeng sila yung maging loyal consumers mo. Pwedeng sila rin yung maging word of mouth mo, word of mouth campaign mo, na pwede mong maging marketing strategy in order to attract or to increase your customer base. So the same is true for negative experiences. It can also help the journey of potential customers towards the product. So hindi naman palaging satisfied customers. So there are customers then na merong bad feedbacks or bad reviews or hindi na satisfy or na-meet yung expectations and satisfactions nila. So pwedeng sila rin yung maging source ng negative feedbacks or negative experiences out of using your product. So, when it comes to that, if that's the case, kung merong negative feedback, kailangan mong i-evaluate saan yung common mistake, saan nagkamali, ano yung fault, ano yung kulang, ano yung gap, no? Ano yung possible na naging problem, and then you need to address that problem. So, it is a cycle, no? So this consumer decision process or consumer buying decision is a cycle, no? A cycle for a marketer or for a business wherein kapag na-reach ng isang consumer yung fifth stage and they have their feedbacks, we need to address their feedbacks, no, either positive or negative. So that is the use of the model or the consumer buying decision process in making or in creating marketing strategies and plans for a business. So after we have learned about the basic model of the consumer buying process, let us now move forward with the different types of behavior of consumers when it comes to buying. So first we have the complex buying behavior. So this type of behavior is usually encountered when consumers are buying an expensive, infrequently bought product. So itong behavior na to ay kadalasang nagpe-prevail kapag ka ang isang consumer ay may balak bilhin na something expensive or yung item or yung product na hindi kadalasang binibili. So, ang typical example nito ay appliances sa bahay, furnitures, car, or even home or house and lot. Okay? So, mas involved dapat ang isang consumer when it comes to decision-making process kung ganitong klase ng item yung kanyang bibilhin. So, kailangan niyang mag-conduct or magkaroon ng intensive research about this type of product bago siya mag-decide. Or also, pwede rin siyang mag-consult from different people such as friends, family, or even experts bago siya mag-decide. So, in complex buying behavior, the buyer need to pass through a learning process. So, kailangan niyang pagdaanan yung step-by-step when it comes to deciding whether to purchase or not or what to purchase. So, he will first develop beliefs about the product, then attitudes, and then making a thoughtful purchase choice. So, out of those sources na pagtatanungan niya, doon siya makakapag-develop ng beliefs niya about the product, then the attitudes toward the product, and then kung ano yung sa tingin niya ay magandang bilhin. So, kaya na niyang mag-decide ngayon kung ano yung bibilhin. So, for complex buying behavior customers, marketers should have a deep understanding of the products. So, dapat talaga mas naiintindihan ng consumer yung kanyang bibilhin. So, it is important to create advertising message in a way that influences the buyer's beliefs and attitudes. So, since it is an expensive product or good, kailangan i-advertise siya ng mabuti. Kailangan maging creative in advertising and dapat ma-emphasize yung influence, yung beliefs and attitudes ng consumers towards dun sa product. Next, another type of behavior is the dissonance-reducing buying behavior. So the consumer is highly involved in the purchase process, which might be due to high price and infrequent purchase. So may similarity siya dun sa una, which is the complex buying behavior. So here, in dissonance-reducing buying behavior, high price din or expensive din, and infrequent purchase din siya. But in addition to that, there is a low availability of choices with less significant differences among brands. So, ang pagkakaiba ni dissonance-reducing buying behavior dun sa naunang type ng behavior, which is complex buying behavior, is that konti yung available choices. So, nalilimitahan yung alternatives or yung options ng consumers because konti lang yung choices na available sa kanya. Okay? And also, with less significant differences. Yung choices na meron siya ay konti lang ang pagkakaiba or halos walang pagkakaiba. So, mas mahirap mag-decide in that case. So, ang tendency, consumers will be forced to buy goods that do not have too many choices and therefore, consumers will be left with limited decision-making. So, ito po ay karaniwang nangyayari din sa atin. Yung sobrang limited ng choices natin, na-force tayo or napipilitan na lang tayo na bilhin yung natitira or yung available na item. Kasi, kailangan natin eh. Okay? Or naghanap na tayo kung saan-saan, pero yun lang ang pinakamaganda na na-available or dun lang merong available. So, nalilimitahan yung ating evaluation or yung ating options. So, based on the products available, time limitation or the budget limitation, consumers buy certain products without a lot of research. So, ang tendency, hindi na tayo nakakapag-research, hindi na tayo nakakapag-canvas mabuti, nakakapag-evaluate mabuti, because there is limited time, limited options, or limited choices, as well as affected din yung ating budget. Okay? So dissonance can occur when the consumer worries that they will regret their choice. So since konti yung available choices mo, nag-worry or bothered ka ngayon kasi pag binili ko to, baka hindi maganda tong bibilin ko. Okay? So andun ka sa point na andun yung dilemma na bibilin mo ba to or hindi. Kasi wala ka ng ibang mabibilhan or ito na lang yung available na options. Okay? So, dissonance yung tawag kapag we worried na yung binili natin, okay, or yung pinili natin ay hindi natin or hindi worth dun sa ating ibinayad or hindi tayo na-satisfied. So, halimbawa, a consumer who is looking for a new collapsible table that can be taken into a camping quickly decides on the product based on the few brands available. So, yun nga, na-force out na siyang bumili because kailangan niya ng new collapsible table. Pero, ilan lang yung mga brands. So, wala dun yung brand na hinahanap niya. May limited brands lang na available. So, the main criteria will be based on the price and convenience. So, kung willing ka naman na maghanap pa sa mas malayong lugar or sa iba, para makapamili ka ng mabuti, no problem. But if you have time limitation, budget limitation, no, talagang force out ka na bumili, no, out of convenience na lang din and out of price. But after the purchase, the consumer will seek confirmation that he has made the right choice. So yun nga lang, we are not sure if masasatisfy tayo dun sa ating nabili because hindi natin kilala or hindi tayo nakapag-research about those brands or about those product na nabili natin. So what we need to do? So marketers should run after-sales service camps that deliver focused messaging. So these campaigns should aim to support consumers and convince them to continue with their choice of their brand. So these marketing campaigns should focus on building repeat purchases and referrals by offering discounts and incentives. So given na ikaw si business, ikaw yung nag-o-offer ng products na merong limited na pamimilian para sa mga consumers mo, kailangan mong i-maximize na yung opportunity. Okay? So, out of need, bumili sa'yo yung consumer. So, on your part naman, kailangan mong mag-deliver ng excellent consumer satisfaction pa rin for your consumers. So, yun nga, you need to run after-sales service camps, campaigns, follow-ups, no? Para magkaroon na ng repeat purchases and referrals sa iyong products. Another buying behavior is the habitual buying behavior. So, from the term habitual, yung kadalasan na nating ginagamit, kadalasan na natin siyang ginagawa. So, habitual purchases are characterized by the fact that the consumer has very little involvement in the product or brand category. So, meron tayong mga items or goods na binibili na hindi naman kailangan talagang totally pag-iisipan natin ng matagal. So, hindi siya kagaya nung bibili ka ng appliances, ng car, ng furnitures, or ng bahay, na talagang kailangan mo siyang pag-isipan. So, here, may mga goods tayo na habitually natin binibili or frequently natin binibili na hindi naman na natin kailangan pag-isipan or meron tayong little involvement lang. Okay? So, in this case, the consumer is perceiving only a few significant differences between brands, no? So, kung hindi naman ganoon kadami yung pagkakaiba dun sa product, we didn't pay attention to that. So when consumers are buying products that they use for daily routine, they do not put a lot of thought. So yun nga, pag ito ay kadalasan nating binibili, kadalasan nating ginagamit yung product for our daily routine, pag binibili natin siya, hindi na natin siya pinagbubuhusan pa ng effort or hindi natin siya masyadong pinag-isipan ng mabuti. So example na lang, yung mga groceries natin sa bahay or yung mga condiments natin sa bahay, kailangan mo pa bang pag-isipan ng mabuti? Kailangan mo pa bang mag-research kung anong brand ng patis, ng toyo, ng asin, ng betchin ang bibilhin natin? Di ba? Hindi naman na. So, we use this on a daily routine. Okay? We use this on habitual basis. Hindi na natin kailangang mag-effort or to do a lot of research to buy these kinds of products. Kasi napaka-konti or halos walang difference yung mga available na options. Nagkakaiba-iba lang sila kadalasan sa brand, sa price, sa quality, no? Pero hindi ganun ka-significant yung differences nila. So they either buy their favorite brand or the one that they use regularly. Ayan. So kung namimili tayo, halimbawa patis, kung Lodis patis yung binibili natin, pag mag-grocery tayo, Lodis patis din yung bibili natin or Dato puti yung bibili natin. Okay? So yung mga kadalasan natin ginagamit. So, for example, while a consumer buys a loaf of bread, he tends to buy the brand that he's familiar with without actually putting a lot of research and time. Ayan. So, halimbawa na lang si Gardenia. Okay, so kilala na natin si Gardenia, yan na yung kadalasan mong binibili kapag bumibili ka ng tinapay. So, hindi mo na kailangan mag-research. Ang problem lang is that pag hindi available si Gardenia and may mga ilang available na options, yun yung kadalasan, mag-research ka ng konti. Okay? Okay, babasahin mo na lang yung label niya sa likod or din sa packaging niya. Then, doon tayo magbe-based kung ano yung bibili natin. So, example ng products na kadalasan naman natin binibili, ayan nga, yung mga condiments, sugar, biscuits, toilet paper, and other everyday use na ginagamit natin. So, consumers just go for it. There is no brand loyalty kadalasan. Consumers do not research or need information regarding purchase of such products. So, habitual buying behavior is influenced usually by radio, television, and print media. Ayan, so yung mga commercials sa TV na nag-advertise ng mga kadalasang ginagamit natin as individual or yung pang-household chores. Moreover, consumers are buying based on brand familiarity. Okay? But given that's the case, still, napaka-importante pa rin ng brand. Napaka-importante pa rin na talagang distinct yung brand mo among competitors. Hence, marketers must use repetitive advertisements to build brand familiarity. Ayan, so kaya nga talagang intensive ang advertisements ng iba't ibang products sa television, sa internet, or social media, or even sa radio. So further, to initiate product trial, marketers should use tactics like price drop promotions and sales promotions. So marketers should attract consumers using visual symbols and imagery in their advertising. Consumers can easily remember visual advertisement and can associate with a brand. So sa mga ganitong klase ng products, since kasi marami kang kakompetensya, marami kang kamukha. Yan nga yung mga tipo ng choices na halos wala ding pinagkaiba. Ang strategy na dapat mong gawin dyan is that there should be at least one distinct feature na meron kang pagkakaiba in compared to your competitors. So halimbawa na lang sa kulay, okay? Sa advertisement, di ba? Meron tayong mga commercials na dali nating natatandaan, di ba? Or minsan nakakabisado natin yung kanta or yung jingle na ginagamit. Or base sa kulay, naaalala natin yung certain brand na yon. So, alam ko na experience nating lahat yon. Okay? So, napakalaking factor po ng mga ganong features ng isang product para ma-retain sa isip ng tao yung kanilang brand or yung kanilang product. So, malaking factor po yun, no? To retain the loyalty of consumers as well as to attract consumers. No? So, on your other marketing subjects, mapag-aaralan nyo yung importance ng symbols na ginagamit, ng color, ng advertisement na ginagamit, yung influencer na ginagamit, etc. So, malaking factor yung ginagampanan ng mga features and symbols na yon. Another buying behavior is the variety-seeking behavior. So in this situation, a consumer purchases different product not because they were not satisfied with the previous one, but because they seek variety. Okay, so here, consumers often do a lot of brand switching. So here, hindi sila satisfied, pero they just want to try different types of products. No, maaaring nasa trial period pa lang sila na kung saan tinetest out pa nila which is better among different brands, which is better among the different varieties of products. Okay? So kaya ang tendency sa mga consumers ay they do a lot of brand switching. So para ma-test out nila. So the cost of switching products is low, and hence consumers might want to try out new products just out of curiosity or boredom. So yon, out of curiosity din, out of boredom, they want to try, di ba? So halimbawa na lang po, so sobrang dami ng store or nagbebenta ng milk tea, di ba? So ano nga bang pagkakaiba pa ng mga iba't ibang klase ng milk tea na to? So out of curiosity, maybe some of us want to try everything, want to try each of those brand of milk tea. So for example, a consumer likes to buy a cookie and choose a brand without putting much thought to it. So next time, the same consumer might choose a different brand out of which for a different taste. Ayan. So same example, pagdating sa milk tea, kung bumili ka this time ng dark chocolate, you want to, out of curiosity, you want to try another flavor. So the next time you're going to buy, another flavor naman yung bibilin mo or another brand naman yung bibilin mo. Okay? So given that we have different types of consumer buying behavior, brands have to adopt the different strategies for such type of consumer behavior. So in order to maximize our marketing plans and marketing programs, and in order to increase and attract more sales, market leaders should persuade habitual buying behavior by influencing the shelf space. So out of those consumer buying behavior, pinaka-effective is the habitual buying behavior. So, malaking factor yung habitual buying behavior because nagbabuy nga sila regularly or frequently or they buy from you on a regular basis. So, that can be a big part of your sales. No? So, a market leader uses this habitual buying behavior as their strategy by influencing their shelf space. So, yun yung ginagamit nilang strategy to improve and to persuade habitual buying behavior of consumers. So, paano nila ginagawa yon para mas ma-practice yung habitual buying behavior ng isang consumer? The shelf will display a large number of related but different product versions. So, na-experience naman na siguro nating lahat na pumasok or mag-grocery sa isang grocery store or sa isang supermarket. Wherein, makikita natin dun sa shelves na pinaglalagyan ng products. Iisa yung product, isang klase siya ng product, pero magkakaiba siya ng version, ng kulay, ng amoy, ng gamit, etc. So, perfect example is yung sabong panlaba, no? Yung powdered. So, we have different brands, wherein yung different brands, meron din magkakaibang kulay, merong magkakaibang gamit, magkakaibang amoy, etc. No? So, yun yung example nung sinasabi natin na maximizing or using the shelf space. Okay? So, napakalaking factor nun, no? Kapag kasi yung shelf ay ganun yung case na maraming factor but related siya sa isa't isa, ang tendency for consumers is matatempt siyang tingnan. Okay? So, matatempt siyang tingnan or maa-attract siya dun sa mga products, no, na nakalagay dun sa shelves na yon. Okay? So, ang tendency, mas makakapag-attract ng consumers yung mga products, no, na iba-iba na yon. Okay? So, marketers avoid out-of-stock conditions. So, since gumagamit nga sila ng shelf space, ina-avoid nila nagkakaroon ng out-of-stock, no, na mga spaces. Sponsor frequent advertising, no? So, gumagamit sila ng frequent advertising. Offer lower prices, discounts, deals, coupons, and nagbibigay ng mga free samples to attract consumers. So, those are some of the ways na ginagamit ng businesses or ng mga enterprises in order to persuade habitual buying behavior among their consumers. So, again, napakalaking factor kapag na-persuade natin and na-motivate natin and na-retain natin yung ating mga consumers to buy on a regular basis or to practice habitual buying behavior. So, napakalaking impact niyan sa ating sales. So, brands, again, need to adopt to different strategies because hindi applicable sa lahat ng businesses kung ano yung ginagawa ng isa. So, again, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, one size does not fit all. Okay? Or one size, hindi siya applicable sa iba't ibang cases. So, still, businesses or enterprises need to develop their own marketing plan or marketing program suitable for the nature and the type of business na meron sila. Okay? So that's all for our Unit 2. For any questions and clarifications, just comment on the comment section down below. Thank you.